my mom went ahead and paid him for the stuff, and he handed back the candy bars to John. I said, no, no. When you take things, you pay double, but you don't get them. And that was a lesson learned. And I was going to eat half of them, but I didn't get punished.
Ah. Tell me about your first girlfriend.
Her name was Anitra MacArthur. I had just turned 13, and she was probably 12 at the time. We started seeing each other. We had a young man living with us. His name was Chris Peak, and her her father was this boy's uncle. And so they'd come and see him sometimes, and we kind of got sweet on each other. And I was taught self-reliance early in my life, so I had money. I worked all the time after school and on the weekends and whatever. I was what you call an entrepreneur. I was full of baloney, but I mowed lawns, cut lawns, pulled weeds, hauled trash. There was an apartment house not too far from where we lived. And they had like 16 apartments or something like that. Mm. And so each one of those people in the apartment had a trash can. So on trash day, or the night before, I would take all 16 cans out, and then I'd bring them back in the next day. Didn't know how much I got for that exactly, but I had money. And going rate for my labor at that time was 25 cents an hour. But I could take Anitra on the bus into Hollywood to a movie. Cost like 25 cents each. Bought her pop or whatever she wanted, you know. And then we'd get done with that. We'd stop and eat lunch out somewhere. And ride the bus back. Of course, all the shows we went to, I don't remember much of them because I was into heavy necking at the time. So, my mom come in and caught us one time, gave us a lecture. We had triple bunks, and her and I were sitting on the bottom bunk, and then we started kissing and stuff. And next thing, she was laying in the bed, and I was just on top of her, kissing her and snuggling her and all that. And in doing so, the friction of the movement, she hit on a wool skirt and had moved the skirt up, but I didn't see that, you know. Just a horny little dude. And my mom come in and said that we were just taking things a little bit too fast.
I suppose, huh?
I suppose. But we weren't members of the church, and had two older brothers, and I had more dates than they ever did. And I would loan them money with a good interest rate, you know. I'll loan you $3, you pay me back 4 or 5, you know. So I was the main breadwinner of us kids, but they would would earn something some other way, you know, and have to pay me back with interest. We had a friend stay with on some weekends. Her husband was in a veterans hospital, and she would stay there, and so she would borrow money from me too. She'd always borrow $3 and pay me back $5 on her payday, which I liked that. That was a pretty good deal. And she was kind of a late night person. Mom and Dad always went to bed about 8 or 9. Us kids usually went to bed around 9. But I had to go to the bathroom one night. So I got up, and there was a bedroom next to my bedroom, which my mom had it. This is a sewing room, and where she did all her sewing and measuring and stuff. And then the living room. Well, she was out there watching TV about this mummy. And she was laying on a lounge chair watching it. And with my socks, I just slipped up behind her, and as Cheney grabbed the person's neck, I grabbed her neck. And she literally rose up out of that lounge chair and crashed back down. Scared the poop out of her. She really got enjoyment out of that movie because it was like it was real. She was okay without it. I mean, she didn't get offended or mad or anything. She was a nice lady. Anyway, going back to dating, almost every weekend, she lived in Palm Springs, and her dad she'd stay with her dad on the weekends, and then he'd come over and drop her off and go do his things that he did. And so we were pretty steady there for about a year. And then she'd call me when she come into town, or I'd call her, you know. Finally, one week, she didn't call me, and I didn't bother to call her. Just not any interest for all of a sudden, you know. And the next thing I knew, we'd gone about a month. So I guess we had broke up. But during that time period, her dad took me skiing with her. She was a great little skier, and so was her dad. Her dad would ski the Black Diamond areas, and she'd ski pretty good other areas. And I was stuck on the beginner's hill, you know, but it was still nice. And then I got to go to Palm Springs for a week, where her mother was, and had a pool herself, and that was nice. But definitely started too soon.
And tell me about your first car.
Well, there were too many of them. First real car that I loved, I was working at Lou's Shell Station on the corner of Sunset and Vermont, I think, or Fountain, right in that area. And I worked there when I was out of school, or weekend, summers and stuff. Worked there 11 hours a day, 6 days a week. And had a good friend, it's Gary Stead. After we close up the shop and stuff like that, would ride around on his motorcycle trying to pick up girls from out of town, you know. But going back to the car, I wanted a car really bad, and I had money, so I went to an auction. I don't remember who I went with, but it was to the University of California. They were selling off university vehicles that were older, whatever. And they were selling a lot of Studebakers. And I wanted to get me one. Well, I looked at several, but they all went too high. And they finally came to the last car. It was a 1956 Ford Mainliner. In other words, a plain Jane. 6-cylinder, 4 doors, automatic transmission. And I remember it was kind of a gray color. Had the decals of University of California on it. And I hadn't even looked at it. But it was the last car coming up for auction. And I figured I'll be danged if I'm going to leave without a car. So I bid on it. I guess nobody else wanted it too bad. So I got it. I didn't even know it had an engine. So it turned out it was a pretty good little car. And where I worked there at the Shell station, right behind me was a auto upholstery shop. Behind them or next to them was an auto body shop. And on the side between those two was a little car stereo shop. Well, I was a happy-go-lucky guy and working at the station. If I saw anybody that needed upholstery or needed paint or repair, I pitched a sale for them, you know. And I brought them a lot of business. So when I got my car, my boss was good. He was really cheap otherwise. He tuned it up and changed the oil for me. Well, the little stereo shop, they didn't have really good stereo back in those days, but they had what they called a vibrasonic, and it kind of vibrated the music. And he installed one of those, I think for free, or maybe it was $20 or something. The upholstery shop did black Naugahyde upholstery, a new headliner, and that job was probably worth $400, and he charged me only for the material, which was around $100. And then the guy in the John's body shop, he took the car in, kept it about 2 weeks, took all the dents out, straightened it, and put like 6 or 8 coats of blue lacquer. And so it was looking good. I mean, it was a nice looking car. And I'll take John Cena, her mom, out in it. And really fell in love with it. Well, I got my draft notice. And I was going to be gone for a few years, so I could have stored it in the garage. My mom wanted to buy it, but she didn't have a driver's license. And she thought she knew everything about driving, but she didn't. I tried giving her driving lessons, and She'd drive right through a stop sign. I said, Mom, you forgot to stop. No, I didn't, you know. You know, it's hard to tell your mother what to do when she powdered your butt. So, I didn't want her to have it. So this friend I knew from hanging out, friends type thing, and he wanted it really bad. He kept pressuring me and pressuring me. Finally, he offered me $800. I bought the car for like $150. So it was a really good deal for me. And the car was really nice. It was worth the money. Well, first thing he did, tore the transmission out in the engine. From a 6-cylinder, he put it in a big V8. Instead of automatic transmission, he put 4 on the floor. And then he was out driving it at excessive speed, lost control, and took out 40 feet of block wall. And I was sick. Still sick today about it because it was my dream car. I mean, I love that car. But that was the car I really meant a lot to me.